Do you see audio levels? La 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 la.
Yeah,
Talk. Go la 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 la
La
la.
la 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 la. Yeah.
All right, cool. 3. Oh gosh, I had to bark. That was awesome. Okay, cool. What's up, family? Welcome back to another TAIOACI episode, the artistry of a creative, the individual's identity, or the identity of an individual. It's either one. I always forget. But anyway, so if this is your first time tuning in, the idea of this is to get the background, the backstory, the history of how a creative came about where they are today, from their cultural background to their generational background to family influence, to inspiration and mentors and teachers, all sorts of things. So today I'm so excited because we have a good friend here at the table. Please welcome our good friend Annie Nugget. That's awesome. Okay, so before we even jump into the conversation, okay, let's do a couple icebreakers just so we can kind of get things warm. Okay, sound good? All right, so the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so it doesn't matter what it is, just the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, favorite color?
Blue.
No. She's like, I don't
It's
know.
actually green.
No, the first thing.
I was just looking at your shirt, so I'm just like, blue.
Okay, favorite place to travel to?
Anywhere that has bubble tea. This is actually really hard.
That's a great response. Okay, favorite fruit?
A jackfruit.
Whoa, okay.
Yes.
I did not see that comment. Okay, favorite vegetable?
Broccoli.
Really, you have one? That's awesome. Okay, what's your favorite snack?
Snack. Oh no. I want to say either the fruit snacks or
There's only one thing you could say, by the way. Okay, that's the icebreaker.
Nutty
I love the shark, the shark fruit snacks. Those are my favorite. You never had those? The sharks. Okay, never mind. Or fruit by the foot. I just don't eat it by the foot. I just take it and
just roll it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had any superpower, what would it be?
You know, people ask this question all the time, and I still don't know the answer to it.
Really?
I want to say maybe flying.
Flying?
Yeah.
What for?
That's the thing, I don't know what for. It would just be nice to just fly, get to one place to another a lot faster, not have to deal with traffic. And
I love it.
Yeah, it's just a lot better.
Okay, last question. All right, so I always ask everyone that's part of the TAIOACI interview why they would pick the Ninja Turtle that they picked. So you picked Raphael. I know you can't really see it because it's kind of like washed away from people's hands, but why did you pick Raphael?
Well, it seems like he's the favorite since he's all washed up. But
why is he your favorite?
I think he's my favorite because he's kind of like the character that's kind of misunderstood.
You just went deep. I didn't even ask for a deep.
Misunderstood. Yeah,
I love it.
You got deep real fast.
Okay. This is gonna be a good conversation. All right, cool. All right, so Annie Nugget, where did the name come from? Like, how did you get that name?
Right. So Annie Nugget, it sounds really funny, but it's just something that kind of stuck with me throughout like middle school, high school, and it was because people didn't know how to pronounce my last name, which is actually Nguyen.
How do you spell it?
Nguyen.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually like, I think it's the most popular last name for Vietnamese people.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that and like Tran and Lee. I'm not gonna go that direction.
It's okay.
But yeah, a lot of people didn't know how to pronounce my last name,
Got
and it's just at first glance, people pronounce it as like Nugget or like Nugget.
Oh,
Yeah,
so when they first see it, it
yeah.
looks like Nugget.
Yeah, so like just kind of stuck with me. And then all my friends were usually like older than me at some point.
Got it.
So then they always tagged me along as like Little Nugget.
So this isn't like an artist tag name. This is like this is a childhood name.
Yeah, this is like a childhood name.
Oh, okay.
And then like from there on, like it just kind of stuck.
You know,
with
some
me.
people have like, yeah, they call me Fire or Iceman from some like street tag name, and you're just like, no.
Iceman.
When I was younger, they just thought I was a Nugget. You know.
Yeah, and then it
That's
just
awesome.
kind of stuck with me as an artist, only because like because all of my art kind of revolves around like me growing up and then like my experience and like all that. So then I was like, you know what, might as well take with me what was like a big part of me.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Okay, this is awesome. Okay, so explain to the audience, the listeners, the viewers, what type of art you do. Because I know there's like all sorts of things that you do, but like for time's sake, consolidate that into like one description.
Multidisciplinary artist.
I like that.
So
spell that. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh. Spelling bee. Onomatopoeia. Right. So multidisciplinary artist, as in like I'll do anything that gets my point across. So I'll do murals, I'll do woodwork, I'll do paintings, I'll do sculptures out of chicken wire with like rice paper and make it look like a fish that lights up. And like spray paint all over it. Yeah, so it's like it's a lot of different things. Like I'll use like organic stuff and I'll use very like industrialized kind of stuff. So like I'll like cut metal, or sometimes I'll just meticulously cut out little pieces of paper, or like
so you're a mixed medium.
Yeah, just like all mixed media. So like and that's honestly my favorite media, only because like I don't want to be limited to just, you know, one type of media.
Gotcha.
Like, I want to be like open to just using anything that could mean anything to anyone.
I love it. My wife and I love interdisciplinary approaches to any expression, so you're like on the right path right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, that's honestly, you have to treat art the same way you treat life, open-minded. So
that's good stuff. Yeah. Deep answers, love it. Okay, so let's backtrack. So that's where you are now, all right? So way back. So artistic expression, you as an artist, like how did this start? Was it like you drawing? Was it you painting? Like how, when did this this desire to express yourself artistically, when did it begin?
I want to say like art has always been a part of me growing up. Like I used to take library books when I was like under 10 and I would draw in like the front and back covers of it and like return the books.
No.
Which who knows where it could be now. But
it's an inspiration to some little kid right now.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, I used to just do like little drawings. I would like take my mom's lipstick and like draw inside the closet and stuff. And like it's just always been a part of me, but as of professionally pursuing it and actually being a huge part of my life, I didn't really decide that until college. And a lot of that, as much as I had wanted to throughout life and like, you know, jumping into art, you know, there's all these different societal like ideas of how people view artists.
Yeah.
So I mean, nowadays it might be different, but a lot of times people will think of like, let's say the poor artist or
starving artist.
Yeah, starting like the starving artist and stuff. So like I went down the route of going in the really heavy medical field, and I was gonna be a dentist. I actually
field.
Left field, exactly. I was in the dual dental program for Nova. Yeah, for a
politically
university.
It's NSU. No, I'm just
NSU, right? Exactly. But yeah, like I got into the program and everything. Like
how long were you in that?
I was in the program for 2 years. But I actually moved down here away from my parents from Orlando when I hit high school. Oh. So I wasn't living with my parents ever since like high school.
Okay.
And like that whole entire time, like I was just, you know, drilling at it at school, you know, trying to like triple in sciences, like, you know, really jump into it. And like art has always just been lingering in the background. So like I'll like doodle in class, or like I'll go and I'll take like an art course. And like
it was like a passionate hobby.
Yeah, it was a very passionate hobby. And at some point, like after just doing it sometimes, and then eventually like, you know, jumping into these competitions and like winning these awards and like really getting into it, I knew that there was just something lingering in the background. So after I started college, after the second year in that program, just a whole bunch of chain of events happened. Like it was a moment.
Kept calling you.
Yeah, it was a moment where like I needed to step back. Because a lot of times when you're so immersed in something, especially when it comes down to a professional career, and everybody goes to this all the time. And like that's always the biggest fear. Like, you know, will I make money? You know, will I be able to survive? Will my parents be proud?
Realistic thoughts.
Yeah, exactly, realistic thoughts.
We're growing up.
Right, exactly, we're growing up. So it's like that's always been a fear. And like sometimes you just gotta jump out of that fear by just taking a step back.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when you just focus on one thing so much, believing that it's right, you forget that there's all these other options that could also be right. You know, there's never a wrong answer, only when you choose that to be the only right answer.
Especially in our generation, we have options, which wasn't really a thing maybe like a couple of decades ago. That's awesome. So what was that like that feeling of like I gotta go after this. Like I know I'm on this path, but I think
I just got goosebumps just thinking about it.
I know my bigger question is like, what was that like, maybe going against what others thought you should be doing, like, because you're going in this medical field, and especially, you know, in Asian families, you know, like what was that like, you kind of like going against that grain?
Really, really, really scary.
Yeah.
It's just really scary, only because there was so much commitment behind it, and there was just so much, you know, like there was so much investment towards that direction that like jumping out of
like
that,
you or from family?
From everything.
Oh wow.
Yeah, whether it's like money, whether it's from the family, whether it's
true.
even my own time or my own like, you know, thoughts towards it. It was a lot of investment, and like, you know, getting out of, it's almost like, you know, making an investment like money wise on something. Like it's hard to pull out of something like that because you feel like you had a loss, but you know, sometimes better late than never, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so crazy.
And I guess for me, it was just a calling, only because I've gone through so many different things that were just telling me like, hey, you know, you have this talent, you know, you have something that's special to you, and every single time you've ever like committed to it, or every single time you were ever like super passionate about it and you did something about it, you got something out of it, and like you were very happy with it, even whether or not you failed, like you were happy with the fact that you did it. So like for me, that was art. And like, as controversial as it is, like it was the calling for me, and I knew that if I didn't take the opportunity to do this now, I'll never get that ever again.
What was the tipping point? Like, what was like, this is the moment, like, all right, I gotta go this direction. Like, what was that moment? Or was it just kind of like an accumulation of events?
It's an accumulation of a bunch of stuff. Cause like,
but do you remember like that moment you're like, I'm switching, like I'm going this direction. Like you're at the fork in the road, and you're just like, yeah, I gotta go with my heart.
It's probably breaking up with one of my exes.
Oh wow.
Sorry. No, it's cool. Don't worry about it. It's cool. But it's just like, it was a combination of a bunch of different things. Because like, you know, that was kind of the thing that I wouldn't say broke the camel's back, but it was more so like, hey, you need time to step back and look at life.
And also like, those are moments where you're like, I need to invest in me in those times, because in a relationship you're investing in so much of this mutual respect, and then there's a part of you that's like, all right, I need to worry about number one. You know, that's an awesome like period in time that you made that decision. But we're very thankful that you did.
Yes, I'm so happy that I did.
Awesome.
Like,
okay, so backtrack. Okay, because we could talk this for hours. Okay, so when you were so what was the first medium that you started on, or was it always a mix?
Graphite.
Okay, explain.
Well, I mean, I would say lipstick first, but I mean, I would say graphite.
That you took seriously.
Like, that I would take seriously. It would be graphite.
Okay.
So
explain that.
Drawing, it was like the easiest way for me to express myself, and it was just literally the quickest thing. Like, you see a pencil, you pick it up, and you start drawing. Like, I drew in library books. Like, I would draw on the wall. I would draw on, like, any paper that I would find. I'd be in the middle of class. What's the closest things that were next to me? It was always a pencil and paper. So, for me, that was just my greatest form of expression. And, like, everything that I've ever experienced, I love working with all kinds of mediums. I really do. But as of what I would consider my concrete medium, it would always be graphite, only because like that's like my roots.
How did that begin?
How did it begin? I don't know. I just picked up anime. Anime. Now that I think about it, it's just like I was so into comic books. I was such a nerd. I'm still a nerd.
All artists are nerds in their own right. That's it.
But I was like super into comic books, and like I really wanted to like draw anime and all that. And like eventually, like I just got obsessed with it, and I wanted to draw more. And then I started drawing things that were in front of me, whether it was like flowers or a ball or just like anything.
So you got into perspective art and everything. Oh, that's so awesome.
And then I took my very first art class in high school, and that's when like everything
just kind of clicked
opened up,
everything.
yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so what was the transition from that into like the next stage? Was it because I know you do like graffiti as well and you do painting? So like, was that all at once, or was it like this led to this and then this led to this? Like, give us the memory lane. Like, what led to what?
I mean, I guess I would owe a lot of those influences to like the classes that I took from college when I switched my major.
Okay.
But
so you are professionally trained in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, I'm in a lot of ways for certain things I'm professionally trained, or at least heavily exposed to it.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, like, I would say probably kind of all at once in a way.
Okay.
It's more so like me having such like an exploratory kind of like attitude.
Yeah.
That like I have a deep appreciation for all kinds of art.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a dance form or whether it's like, you know, performance work, or if it's you know, singing, and just like anything. I have a deep appreciation for it because it's just, this is a person that is putting their time and their effort into something, and their experience and their motion into something, and translating that for somebody else to understand it on their own scale. So it's like another language in a way, and like that's just like the biggest thing about art.
I love it.
It's kind of like a language.
Yeah.
But it's a very
it's a universal language
it
in so
really
many
is.
ways, but
It's
it's also
like
interpretive language too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just such an open kind of language that, you know, kind of forces people to, whether they get it or not.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of times people won't understand art, but, you know, that's just the impression that they get. But when they go and they look at something else, a lot of times they don't even realize that it's art. When you label something as art, sometimes people forget that, like, you know, everything around us is designed in some way or another.
Everything's artistic.
So, like, you know, that's how they communicate with that. That's how
beautiful.
they read off of it.
So
like, you know, let's say a photograph. You know, just a photograph of your family. You know, somebody who doesn't like artwork, you know, they'll go and they'll look at other photographs and be like, oh, well, this is just a picture. They'll look at a photograph of their family and it means something to them. So it's just, you know, how you look at things.
Yeah, and the value you put towards it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, that's honestly, or at least by my definition of how I view art, is it's a form of communication.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a form of communication or spirituality or education, but it's all a form of how we speak to each other in a different way.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So for you, like, culturally, Vietnamese, correct? Okay, so is there any like influence, because are you more like, okay, like you know, you learned in America and that's like your influence, or is there like cultural influences as well that come from family background or anything?
Right. So when it comes down to being a first generation Vietnamese American, that's like pretty much the whole encompass of like my artwork.
Yeah.
Is my experiences as a first generation Vietnamese American. And like, you know, for a lot of people that are born and raised here as just first generation immigrants, you know, you're being exposed to American culture, but, you know, it's interesting to see how American culture is defined. So, like, you know, a lot of times when you bring your own culture into things and you look at American culture, you kind of skew the two, and you don't realize that American culture is just such a diverse and like...
It is multicultural.
It's very multicultural. Like, it's extremely multicultural, especially down here in South Florida.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like as multicultural as you can get. Like, the whole idea of like majorities and minorities, like there's so many more minority, you know, groups out there now.
Yeah.
If anything, some of them like outnumber.
It's 2017.
Yeah, it's 2017. Exactly, it's 2017.
I know.
So it's interesting, like the influence of like my culture and American culture. That's pretty much what my art is about. Is just the influences of American culture and your own culture, being a first generation immigrant.
Nice.
And like, you know, that's the thing. A lot of times people are just skewed by that perspective of like what American culture is or what the American dream is. And like, they don't realize that it's something that's evolving, and it's always evolving. Even for your own culture, it's always evolving.
Yeah.
So being a part of two different cultures at the same time for something like that, especially with American culture, that people kind of like, you know, get mixed up with a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess the complexity would come from, like, yes, because America is diverse, and that's kind of like that is what makes America. But I think where maybe the complexity is like from the traditional aspect of Vietnamese family and culture to now where you're in an American Vietnamese culture. You know what I mean? So like that contrast, how was that as far as, well, maybe within your artistry, but also within like your life, how was that kind of like dealing with those two worlds?
I have to give credit that my parents are very chill. Like, maybe not back then. They always wanted me to go to school, get A's, all that. And, like, it really has trained, even for, like, my brother, too. Like, he always pushed me. But it was a good way to train me to always work hard. But as of, like, the influence of that culture and everything, I don't know. I mean, they were pretty okay with everything at the end of the day. I mean, like, sometimes they'll be like, oh, like, why didn't you go into dentistry? But it's okay. Like, you know,
well, you definitely get your work ethic, you know, from, you know, because like first generation America, any culture has that work ethic for
Most
sure.
definitely.
You definitely get that for sure. Okay, is there anyone in your family that's like, that it has artistic, you know, capabilities that have like kind of passed it on to you?
See, like, everyone in my family feels like they don't.
Yeah.
But they honestly do. Like, my mom, like, she knows how to sew. She's very crafty. She can, like, arrange flowers. Like, that's the only reason why I was able to do my brother's wedding. But, like, you know, she has a very crafty and, like, open-minded way of arranging things. And then, like, my dad, like, he's actually super technical. Like, he worked in construction. Like, he knows how... He's built, like, 3-4 houses.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
so like, from engineering perspective.
Yeah, he's got, like, a very engineering kind of, like, architectural kind of perspective. And, like, my brother ended up taking after him on that. Because, like, he works on cars. He actually designed one of our houses. Wow. Like, he's a dentist. So, like, he's got that very crafty kind of thing and everything, too.
That's so interesting.
So, like, you know... There is, like...
So they were inspirations and they don't even know it.
Yeah. And, like, my sister, too. Like, she also has that kind of, like, you know, arranging kind of thing. Like, when she has to think of something on, like, a blank sheet of paper, like, she'll, like, you know, she'll go blank. But when you give her a bunch of things, she knows how to arrange it. Wow. And she knows how to make it all work. So
that's awesome that you see that, though, too, because not everyone, I mean, from an artistic perspective, of course, but the fact that you're able to see your family in a different light, where, like, man, I got my design skills from mom, my engineering from my father, and, like, you know, because not everybody can really pull that from their family lineage. I think that's a beautiful thing that you have that type of respect towards your family. That's awesome. Okay, so in your childhood, was there any, like, childhood inspirations that, like, pushed you to become a creative? From, like, I know you said anime already, but, like, from shows to people to just, like, star inspiration, anything from childhood or even now?
It's all family. It's all mostly family.
That's
like,
beautiful.
You know, as much as, like, you know, they'll say, oh, you know, you have to do this or you got to do that. Like, at the end of the day, like, everything that has influenced me, whether it's TV shows or my parents or friends or just watching the news or just everything, it's all built my experience to just be the person I am today. And that's why, like, when people ask me, you know, if you could change one thing, what would it be? I wouldn't change anything.
That's
only
wonderful.
Because everything put together has made me the person I am, and I know that I'm still growing, I'm still evolving. You know, as much as a lot of people would like to go back and they might want to change things, like, let's say, for example, you know, me going into art, I switched my major 2 years in, but at the same token, you know, in the back of my head, sometimes I did think about it. Like, what if I went into art all the way through? Like, where would I be? Would I actually be, like, even better? I have so much more time to work on it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like,
it's your journey.
It's my journey. Yeah. And even then, like, if I were to go through art ever since, like, from the get-go, like, I don't think I would be as good as I am now. And I'm still growing. Only because it was everything that prevented me from doing it that has built me to be the character I am.
It's like a rubber band.
Exactly. It was just like, it really is.
And once you let go, you just went with it.
Yeah, run.
Just go.
You just run.
Oh,
like, you just dart away.
All right, so we're part of a very interesting generation, I think. So is there anything that has happened in this generation, or just like generation influences, that have kind of like motivated or inspired your work? There's a Renaissance time, there's the baby boomers time. Like, so like, everyone has, like, from their generation, a certain idea of expression has come out. So anything from like your time, teenage, childhood to now, that you can think of that has really like inspired how you create today?
I'd have to say, like, literally, like, early childhood.
Okay.
Like, growing up, all the way up until, like, I mean, I would say, like, all the way till now, but, because everything comes together.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest influence is probably, like, as a child, only because, you end up desensitizing yourself to a lot of things because you don't understand it. So whether it's, things that are going on in the world, whether it's, just crazy things, whether it's in your family or other families or just in the world itself, you're desensitized to it.
Yeah.
Because you're a kid. You don't get it. So, a lot of things happen for a lot of families. And, like, for me, for my childhood, a lot of things happen only because, like, a lot of it was just the influence of our culture, but also the influence of American culture. Yeah. So, like, I don't want to go too in depth with it.
Yeah. Go for it. Go but as like, deep or non-deep as you want.
Yeah, but in general, everybody has their own experience. Yeah. And that sense of being able to relate to people is actually very complex. Like, a lot of times when people talk about their experience with something, whether, like, let's say somebody had suicidal thoughts, right? And, like, another friend would, like, talk to them and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, like, I totally get how you feel, or, like, no, I totally get what you mean. And people say that all the time because we have this urge to always relate to people. That's just a natural thing. But a lot of times people forget that at the end of the day, like, you can only relate so much. Yeah. And you'll never have the same exact experience as that person. So, that being said, like, my childhood is probably the biggest part that kind of influences my artwork because I was desensitized to it. Like, the fact that I didn't have to relate to anything, I looked at everything on such a raw degree that this is what it was.
You defined it yourself.
I defined it myself. As in, like, this happened. That's exactly what happened. This person died. That person died. Like, you didn't
have multi outside influences on how to feel about it.
Exactly. So, like, when you are where you're at today and even later on in age, all these experiences build up in order to, like, kind of formulate how you react to things. Yeah. So, like, if you knew nothing about something, you wouldn't know how to react to it. So, like, when you're a child, that is the earliest time when you really don't know much about anything around the world and you just see it for what it is. Wow. So, like, for me, that's the biggest influence of my artwork because a lot of times people might be afraid to express certain things or they might not know how to express certain things. Which, even today, like, I don't know how to express certain things.
Well, you're doing damn good at it.
I'm trying. But, like, overall, like, I think my childhood would be the biggest part of it because
that's so good.
That revolving around, like, me talking about my experience as a first generation Vietnamese American. Yeah. That is the bulk of my experience as a first generation Vietnamese American is as a child because I'm also the youngest child. Oh, so okay. Like, everybody around me was older. Yeah. And, like, that's just, yeah.
That is the best freaking answer.
It got really deep. It got really deep.
That was awesome. Oh man. Okay, so do you have in your journey, because you said you took classes, but, like, did you have, like, teachers and mentors? Not just like, okay, I took this person's class, but like this person took you under their wing, or this person really mentored you and taught you, like, the business or the craft. Like, is there anyone in specific that really, like,
okay,
that you can look at as a teacher mentor figure?
It would be 3 people.
Okay.
three
You can
people
only
as
pick
of
two.
like the.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
I'm just
man.
kidding. You can
No,
tell,
just one.
You can tell
Just
all
one.
three.
But it would be 3 people, and like even till this day, I would still see it as like these 3 people, and of course, all these people will always keep building on it. But as of like the 3 biggest influences on just my drive and like everything when it comes down to art, it would be my first art teacher, which would be Miss Melanie Cohen.
Okay.
Which is back in high school. It was my very first art class. And like she's the one that planted the seed.
That's
I'm gonna say
awesome.
it now. Yeah, I'm gonna say it now. Like she planted the seed, and she was like, "You have a talent. You need to do something about it."
I
and
love
like,
that you said that and you brought it up, because I feel like childhood teachers don't get the credit.
No,
you know what I
but
mean?
she
to
deserves
planting those
all the
seeds.
credit. She really does.
That's so
like,
good.
She was a teacher that loves doing artwork, and she loved giving us all these crazy ideas. Like some of them were just wild, just wild. And like,
And this was like elementary school?
oh
Or-
no, this is high school.
High school. Okay, got it.
High school, yeah. And
I was like, what is this teacher
she
smoking?
like, right? No, but she like, and it's crazy because she watched me like try to give up art.
Wow.
Like throughout all of high school, like
Gotta
she
be
watched
tough.
me like try to like push it away, to like take a break for a year. She always watched me like, kind of struggle with myself on it, like, because it was always like something
Yeah.
that was eating at me.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one that got me into like jumping into these competitions and stuff, and
Oh.
like actually helped me win a lot of those
Oh,
things.
wow.
So like she would be number 1. I still have lunch with her sometimes.
Okay.
Number
That's
2
awesome.
would be Miss Veronique Cotier,
Okay.
which she's one of my professors back in college, and like I loved her to death because 1, she's really pretty, and 2, like she was the person that challenged me in my skill.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna lie, like I was around a lot of people that weren't really good. Well, I wouldn't say really good, but like it's just I had such a drive for art, so
Yeah.
like I kept pushing. I always
The
kept
passion
pushing.
level was different.
Yeah, the passion level was definitely different. So like she was the person that challenged my big-headedness.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she told me.
Taught
she
you
was
humility.
Like, yeah, she like I was like coming in late to class. Like I sometimes wouldn't even show up to class.
Shame
and,
on
like,
you.
Yeah, I know. But like sometimes I would just like, oh, what? This is a really simple project. Like I'm gonna get all A's like easy.
Yeah.
Like no problem.
Right.
Like I get it. I got to do it. But after meeting her, like she tried me.
Oh, dang.
She tried me. She was like she really drilled on me to really keep pushing and like work on it more, like take advantage of the fact that I already know so much and that like I do have this talent, and keep pushing. Like,
She saw something in you and she pushed you
yeah,
to it.
and she
Loved
pushed me to it. Like she introduced me to like all these different artists. Like she cared.
So someone
She
planted
really
the
cared.
seed, she opened the door.
She opened the doors.
I
Yeah,
love it,
she
I love
opened
it,
the
I love
doors. So like, she's the one that made me realize that there's all these art residency programs that like, she was the one that really like wanted to. She's brought the business side of art out of me.
Oh, that's good.
So
and
like,
that's interesting because not everybody gets that experience. It's
No,
usually like
yeah.
this raw expression. But then how
Exactly.
do we sell ourselves? How do we market ourselves? That's awesome.
Because at the end of the day, being an artist is not just, making something and selling it. Like, art can be expressed in so many different ways,
Yeah.
whether it's like actually making something or like, putting things together in a way and then making it so it's functional to somebody else that they'll like it.
That's good.
So like, let's say this table.
Yeah.
Like somebody made this table, it's functional, somebody wants this table, or like, a picture on the wall, like somebody made something that, or somebody designed that and like made it so that other people would want it. And all of these different things are all different forms of art and
Yeah.
how it's created or how it's expressed or how people just put it together.
Yeah.
So it's like, art is in a way a sense of functionality,
That's good.
and in a sense, like, I don't even know what to call it.
No.
It's a very organic, weird thing. Like,
Organic, weird, complex,
it's just
natural thing.
Exactly. Like, and that's just anything that's abstract. Like, take business, for example.
Yeah.
business can be anything. It's just anything you want that can make money. It doesn't even have to make money. Like, it just has to get people to want something.
Yeah,
like,
that's so good.
So, like, you know, that's the thing about the business side of art. Like, she brought that out of me. Like, she made me remember that, like, you know, it's not just about making artwork. Like, you can be good at something as much as you want. You could be the best person to draw at something. You could be the best painter. You could be the best muralist. You can be the best sculpturist. Like, you can be the best at any of those skills, technically. But you're never going to be able to sell yourself and be able to, like, you know, actually make something out of it unless you do something. Like, you have to, and that's the biggest thing. Like, she opened my mind when it came down to art. Like, I can't focus on art as just a thing in front of me. I have to think of it as an experience around me. And, like, you know, she's the one that really brought that out of me and
dropping
made me
gems. Love it. That's so good.
Like, she made me think about it.
Okay, so we have mentor 1.
Yes.
Plant the seeds. Mentor 2, open the doors. 3.
My sister.
Didn't see it coming.
My sister.
Okay.
Yeah. So my sister, actually, she would be like number one.
Okay.
She's my.
Now we're getting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? But I wanted to say best for last. That's what it
she
is.
got the soil ready.
Yes.
That's what soil was ready.
Yeah.
Send the seed. Open
She's
the
the
door.
one that like Melanie. She planted the seed. Veronique, she like opened the doors and like kind of like put down the soil to make sure it's gonna grow okay and that it's gonna like, you know, be okay. And then my sister, she's the one that actually keeps watering it.
Oh, that's so
good. Like my sister.
Good description.
Analogies. I gotta keep these metaphors.
That's good.
I get it from my dad.
The art of communicating.
Exactly.
Keep going.
So like, my sister, she's like the one that lets it keep growing, and like,
so good.
if it came down to anybody, just like anybody that was there from the very beginning, that was always pushing me and supporting me in everything as much as like I could do, it was my sister. Like, she brought me to like the very first like Wynwood art walk that I would go to. Like, she's the one that opened my eyes to that. She's the one that was like, if it came down to anybody that I would say anything about my like experiences or anything first, she would be the first person.
Oh, that's so
like speed dial, like speed text message, everything. Like, she's like the person that if I had anything to hide or if I had anything to like, you know, have to talk about or like was freaking out about something or just like anything, it would be my sister.
That's
and like
so awesome.
She was always like, you know, yeah, and she's going through her own things too. Like, she's still growing on her own. She's still building on like business. She's still like, you know, going through her own experiences. But no matter what, like, even though we're, like, at our age now, a lot of people mistaken us as twins. And, like, a lot of times, you know, I'll go do my own thing and she'll do her own thing. But at the end of the day, like, she has always been there to either provide me with guidance or cook me food when I don't eat. Because a lot of times I just get way too lazy. Or I'll forget to eat because I get so busy doing things and I keep myself, like, occupied.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful that you have like a deep connection with family like that. Not just the inspiration, but now talking about like your sister believing in you and pushing you. That's absolutely beautiful. What is one piece of art, right, that you've done recently or in the past that you're like extremely proud of? That means something to you? And I know that most and almost all pieces of like artistic expression means something to it, but what is one that comes to mind? Like, this one means a lot to me.
I think the biggest one, and it's something that I don't give enough credit to. It's called Sweatshop.
Okay.
I have like a few pieces that are called Sweatshop because it's like a whole series, and like what that series is about is literally about the whole first generation Vietnamese American thing. I might just keep going with that, but one of the pieces in that series is a Vietnamese dress. So the dress is made of the maps of Vietnam and a whole bunch of like these orange and red and yellow threads that all come off of this dress. And the traditional Vietnamese dress is called an áo dài. And that is like one thing that has always stuck with me because, you know, culturally speaking, I've always worn áo dài my whole entire life. Like, a lot of times, like, when you think about, you know, like Vietnamese Americans that, you know, grow up in American culture, like they kind of stopped doing that. Like they stopped wearing those dresses and stuff, and they, you know, they start really assimilating into American culture.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, like TAIOACI has always been a part of my life in some way or another. I wear it every Easter, or I'll wear it in Christmas or something, or like I'll wear it at my brother's wedding or whatever. And like I'm like one of those few people that actually really like it. My sister too, but like even then, like the very, very traditional kind of TAIOACI where it's got like a collar. I wish I can show you guys a picture of it. But it's got like a collar and it's like really tight and everything. And it's just, I've always loved that dress. I've always loved that dress. And it kind of reminds me of my mom too. But I've always loved that dress. So I made a piece that was inspired by that dress.
So what's the name Sweatshop, like the correlation to it?
The correlation to it?
Yeah.
Oh, why it's called Sweatshop, right. So that piece, the way it's assembled is that it's just this levitating top half of a dress that's made of the maps, and then a bunch of these threads that are all coming from the front and back, because there's like a front and back panel to the dress. And on those, like the strings, it connects to the map of Vietnam, which is cut out from a piece of fabric. And each one of those points that are on that map that the strings are attached to, it's all the different sweatshops that are in Vietnam. Yeah, so the reason why I made that piece was because till this day, my whole entire life, even before I was born and even up until this day, my mom still sews. And like, she doesn't sew as a hobby, she sews as a profession, as in like a sweatshop kind of profession. So like she does like industrial grade kind of clothing, and like she's sewing thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of pants or shirts or jackets or just everything. It's just thousands and thousands of these pieces of clothing, and it's just all of this repetitive motion. And like growing up my whole entire life, even till this day, like, you know, sometimes I'll help her, like, and I got like a little glimpse of like child, what's it called?
Like how her life,
like child labor. Like I got a little glance at that, but like in a good way. My mom loves me, don't worry. But yeah, like
I'm not laughing at that. That wasn't
just a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, like it's just growing up, that was what I always saw. Wow. I never really got to see my mom in a different context when it comes down to like, you know, her career or like, you know, things like that. So like, I wouldn't say my mom's different from people. Yeah. But it definitely is a very strange kind of experience for somebody to grow up in America and see something like that their whole life, especially coming from like their parents. Wow. So like, you know, when it comes down to the value of $1, like each pieces of those clothing, like it's only worth like a fraction of a cent sometimes. Wow. And like, you know, she's making an earning off, like she's making a living off of this, and like she has committed so much of her life into this job in order to like take care of her whole family. Yeah. You know, to be able to take care of her kids, like, you know, and even today, like it still kills me. Yeah. It still kills me. And that's like one of my biggest drives and motivations is just, I want to take care of my parents. But that's the thing, like I don't want to take care of my parents by just making money and doing this job and then like, you know, paying for everything. That's not what taking care of your parents is about. So like, you know, I wanted to do it my own way pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, that's like the biggest thing is that like my mom was always sewing, and like that piece meant so much to me, and along with the other pieces that are in that series called Sweatshop, is because like this was my experience. Like I'm here in America and like this happened.
I love the depth that you have, and the connection, and I feel like every piece you have has a story. Yeah, that's so good. So okay, so we'll kind of like wrap everything together, right? So, what would be one word that you would use to describe your artistry? You can explain the word after, but what would be one word that you would use to describe your artistry as a creative?
You know, you asked me this earlier too, and I still don't know. It's so hard. Like when you have to describe.
Well, let's describe, and then we'll find out the word.
Yeah, I know,
we'll
right?
Okay.
That's the thing. Like when you're describing, like your art, it's not even, for me at least, like it's not describing my art, it's describing my life and how I want to impact other people.
Got it.
Like it's a whole experience. It's like the definition of my life.
Oh, that's good.
Deep.
So
I have to choose carefully.
It could be 2 words. It could be my life, or it can be undefined. You know?
Oh, undefined is a pretty good one.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it can take on many forms, and your life is very like still defining itself.
Or it could be multidisciplinary.
Ooh.
Right?
Spell that. No, I'm just
oh no.
Okay. All right. So what do you aspire to do with all of this? I mean, like, what's the driving force? What's the why? Where do you want to take all this?
Where do I want to take all this? So, the biggest thing that I want to do at the end of the day is help people. I've always wanted to help people, and that's always been the biggest drive for me in everything. And why I talk for hours with people, and I'll give them pep talks to be like, oh, you gotta go talk to this counselor, maybe you'll be able to get this classes and all that stuff like in line. Or like, oh, don't worry about your career, like, you know, go and like explore and stuff, like go to a museum by yourself, like at the end of the day, I always want to help people in some way or another. And like for me, like my overall vision, I want to open up my own art school.
Love it.
I want to open my own art school, but that's the thing, is that it's a vision that's always evolving. So how I plan on going about and doing that is...
That's the journey.
Yeah, that's the journey. That's the journey. And like, you know, I have a lot of things in my mind, and, you know, being all business savvy, like I don't want to talk too much about it.
Yeah.
But in general, like I want to help people.
Okay.
And how I want to help people is I want to go through it by going through my own experience right now. So where's my art going to go? Well, you know, I'm just going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep talking to people, and like, you know, that's the thing. Doing things like this is what keeps me going.
I love it. I love it. So
this
good.
is the drive.
That's awesome. Okay, so for a future creative or a current creative, young and up and coming, what would you tell them as words of encouragement?
Words of encouragement. Don't let anything ever get to you.
Ooh.
Don't ever let it get to you, because at the end of the day, you will always have people saying things to you. You'll always have obstacles that will get in your way, whether it's school, work, your boyfriend or girlfriend, or just like friends, anything. Yeah. Or even just life in general. You know, things happen in life, and we can't control life itself. What you can control is how you perceive things. Yeah. And if you let it get to you, that is when you let life really can take control. And like, life is not forgiving. It really isn't. And a lot of times it really is not fair. Yeah. But it's only going to be bad if you let it be bad. Yeah. And you have to not let it get to you. Because if you let it get to you, then what's the point? Like, you give up and that's it. Yeah. Mope around.
Right. It's not what happens, it's how you respond to what happens. That's
beautiful. How you respond.
Okay, so what's one of the most important lessons that you've learned in your artistic journey?
Not letting it get to me. that actually is like, and that's why I say that telling other people that is the best kind of advice you could ever give anybody.
It's one of the biggest obstacles.
It really is. It's the biggest obstacle is getting over it. Like, literally, you are the only person that's able to control what you do on your own, how you respond. Yeah. So like for me, like going through dentistry, going through like, you know, my culture, going through like people around me, going through like all these different obstacles in life, like it's having a really good support system around you, appreciating that. That's good. Really appreciate your support system. And like not letting it get to you, because as soon as you let something get to you, that's when you waste time. You waste time, and you know that like eventually you will get over something. You're always going to get over it. Yeah. So if you're able to prevent that as much as possible and like keep going and keep driving on, you don't let it get to you. Yeah, that's so good. It's okay. All right, so let's just say thousands of years later, we're not here anymore. But like your art, it's like it's been buried somewhere or whatever. What's like one piece, right? Not the one you chose before. What's one piece, right? Whether it's from graffiti to a painting to a sculpture, what's one piece that you would want people to dig up and why? My name.
Ooh.
It would be my name. Only because, like, when it comes down to an object, it's always going to disintegrate somehow, some way or another. Whether it's by, by memory, people will forget, or physically getting, like, buried.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I want people to know my legacy. Like, I want people to know my name in the end. Like, or they don't even have to know my name. Like, I just want people to know that somebody did this.
Yeah,
like,
gotcha.
There's just so many people. I still don't even, like, when it comes down to art history and all that, not even just art history itself.
Yeah.
Like, I will not be able to name all the presidents. Like, I wouldn't be able to name all these really important people. Like, I can barely, like, say the names, like, the artists for half these really popular songs.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even do that. So, like, but I know the lyrics. I know the lyrics.
You know the work.
I know the work. I know the beats. I know the feeling that it leaves on me.
That's good.
And, like, for me, like, I'd rather have an impact like that as of, like, thousands of years down the road for somebody to remember than, like, a physical piece. So.
Annie for president.
Yeah.
All right, so where can people experience some of your work publicly?
Publicly? I mean, like, I'm still an up and coming kind of artist.
Mm-hmm.
I do have one mural that's out at Nova. So if you go into the University Center,
I think it's
like
huge.
There's like a huge shark piece. There's like a shark and then a girl with the shark hood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's called Realizing Potential.
That one's awesome.
And then it's like super psychedelic. And then
I was there when you were making it.
Yeah, that's true. He was there. And then I also have another mural that's out in, that's actually across the street from Nova. It's at M&H Cafe. It's a bubble tea shop that's,
My wife loves boba tea, by the way.
Yes, I love bubble tea. I love bubble tea so much. I actually have one right here. But anyway, I have another mural that's there. It's called Bubble Trip. That one's really fun. That was actually my very first mural.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so those two are like two that you can definitely see out in public. I did a lot of private works, so like you can't really go into other people's houses.
Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here to see Annie Nugget's work in your bathroom, or
yeah, right, exactly. It's like master bathroom.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
awesome. So how can people connect with you? Like social network, or social media, or email, or if you want to give that out. Or
yeah, of course.
Like that.
So if you look me up on Instagram, that's actually where I exhibit a lot of my stuff, or like just kind of go about my life diary in a way through images and drawings and stuff. You can look me up at Annie Nugs. So that's ANNIE, Annie Nugs. That's NUGGS.
Nice. That was very good spelling.
Yes.
That was very good.
So you can also look me up on my website, which is annienugget.com or annienugs.com. And I'm always open to a shot of an email.
That's awesome.
I love saying hello. So.
That's so good. Well, you are an absolute delight and inspiration to so many. Not just your story, but your work, absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us. And look, if you guys are ever in the area of M&H Cafe or Nova Southeastern, definitely check out her work. Look her up online. Like you said, send her an email, get in contact with her. Look her up on IG, but definitely check out her work. Thank you so much, Annie Nugget. We'll see you guys next time. That was so freaking good. Good stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yay!
That was